Hello and welcome to India Tonight. I'm Shabani Gharat. Now, government's bid to promote and push E20 fuel has run into a hurdle in the last few days, with social media posts claiming that ethanol blended fuel damages engines and substantially reduces the mileage. Now, government has attempted to quell the fear-mongering with support from the auto industry. Automakers like Maruti, Hero and Toyota have put their weight behind E20 and testing analysis. Let's listen into what they said.
Standard fuel that will be available, and it is compatible with old vehicles and new vehicles. All vehicles sold after 1st of April 2023 are fully materially compliant with E20. And people need to be reassured that in 2021, before we went into E20, there was a very detailed scientific study done by the most leading automobile testing agency in the country, which is ARAI. It clearly established that the possible damage to cars and two-wheelers which are old is not there. It's very insignificant.
23 manufactured and sold before 2023, which was primarily designed for E10, what if E20 fuel is used on them? That's probably the central question which needs to be addressed. As Mr. Gulati said, the industry is very robust in design, testing, validation, certification, and even post-certification, checking conformity of production through the life of the model. And in that design methodology, let me mention to you that we have sufficient factors of safety that take care that there is no problem in terms of wear and tear, corrosion, or damage to the life of the car or the parts that come in contact with the E20 fuel if E20 is used on cars that were produced and sold in India before 2023. As a manufacturer, we have tested E10 cars which were prevalent before 2023 on E20 fuel for all parameters.
The government is pushing E20. Auto manufacturers are backing it. West Asia war had brought, the world to its knees when it came to energy crisis. But there are many advocates on social media who have concerns raised about, the drop in the mileage, of course, the impact on the engine efficiency, and such questions are being raised. The question of purity is also being raised. To discuss this, we are now joined in by C.K. Jain. He is the president of GEMA, Grain Ethanol Manufacturers Association. Along with that, we have B. Ashok. He's the former chairman of Indian Oil Corporation. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us today on ET Now. Representing GEMA, Mr. Jain, help us understand, the concerns raised by some of these social media influencers and those speaking against the government push towards ethanol, and what is the kind of impact that it will have, if mandated, on Aam Janta in terms of fuel efficiency, in terms of impact on, their savings, in terms of the overall, ecosystem.
Thank you for calling me here. You see, I will start with this. Negative narrative speed is like electricity, and truth operates like turtle speed. I want to know the people who was giving the influencers or anybody what is harm in E20 petrol. You see, E20 petrol is responsible from tank to engine. It is not responsible for the alignment, for gearbox, for shocker, for blah, 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 nothing. There is no harm in that, as you have heard from Mr. Maruti's gentleman. They have robustly tested. They have tested E10 cars on E20. And we have also tested all our cars which were designed for E5 7 years ago are still working on E20 without any failure of engine, without failure of any part. Leave aside alignments, leave aside tires, leave aside everything. Tank to engine, there is no problem, even today by E20. And you see, E20 is already existing for last 1.5 years. E20 is not a new thing now, but the narrative is new. I know 20 years ago there was a movement against CNG gas. There was a strike for 3 days in Delhi. Delhi was closed for 3 days 20 years ago because CNG was not preferred and government implemented that. Today, CNG is a preferred thing. I'm just giving you the example of the narratives, example of the, none of the narrative is backed by technical background.
A simple question, Mr.
There's
Jain, over here.
One thing is also there.
Yeah.
There can be a shortage, mileage shortage. There can be. This Niti Aayog admits, everybody admits.
Right.
But ethanol is not the only dependent, is not only the responsible for mileage shortage.
Mr. Jain, one simple question I want to ask you is, why has the rollout of flex fuel vehicles lagged behind the blending mandates?
See, the roadmap which was built up in 2018 was up to 2025, which said that E20 will be utilized. There was no mandate on that day. There was no roadmap for flexi fuel vehicle. Though everybody, the industry was requesting, everybody was requesting the government for last 2 years, the further future roadmap. Now, flexi fuel vehicle has come. It has come late, no doubt, but it has now come. But it will grow gradually. You see, it needs separate petrol pump, separate nozzle in a petrol pump. We have got 4 lakh petrol pumps, I think, within a country. So
on that note,
today,
yes,
yeah.
On that note, I would like Mr. Ashok to step in and help us understand what is the total infrastructure cost involved over here to probably retrofit, some of these existing petrol pumps with E20.
Good evening and thank you for inviting me. First of all, let me say that as far as E20 is concerned, all the petrol pumps in the country are already tuned for handling E20, and we have over 1 lakh petrol pumps in the country, and all of them are only supplying E20 fuels at the moment. Though there can be other brands of fuels which are, even more higher octane, etc., for specialized vehicles. Having said that, let me also try to answer some of the fundamental objectives of why this program was launched, and also your question of why flexi cars have not been thought of earlier and all that. Number one is ethanol is not something very, very new. Even in our country, it started off right in 2001, and we have gradually upgraded it. If you talk of, say, 2013, 14 and all that, we were doing about 380 million liters, whereas today we are doing about 10,000 million liters. So that is the quantum of jump that we have had in terms of ethanol. So one is whether we had the capacity to handle the higher demand from the market. So that also plays a role in terms of how the growth plans are laid out. So now that a lot of emphasis has been put on ethanol, and then multiple sources of ethanol generation have also been identified, there are future plans could also pan out that way with this active support of the automakers. So secondly, I would like to say that the fundamental objective of this is that, number one, it has helped in terms of energy security of the country. I want to lay special emphasis for this because even now, petrol is growing at the rate of about 7% in the country. This is with 20% blending of ethanol. So you can well imagine if you had not had the 20% ethanol blend, what would have been the petrol growth in the country. And we have seen the recent crisis due to the situation in the Middle East. And despite that, if India has not faced any problems, it is partly because we have managed our situation extremely well. And ethanol definitely has also played a role in that by curbing about 20%. See, we have saved
Let's
almost
quickly
1
also
lakh.
address some of the concerns over here, which we were playing on the screen just now. Some of the concerns raised on social media, of course, the concern of the mileage, whether it will give us adequate amount of mileage, and so on and so forth. So, is it fear mongering, or these are valid, legit concerns? And if we were willing to compromise on the mileage by using an E20 fuel, then are there going to be any stops, or are there going to be incentives to promote the usage of E20 fuel? Mr. Ashok.
Let me answer that in a different way.
Right.
See, none of these have been actually launched overnight. Okay. As Mr. Jain also pointed out, like in 2009-10, ARAI, SIAM, automakers, IIP Dehradun, IOC R&D, all of them have been involved in terms of introducing ethanol. And in terms of that, they have put vehicles under lab tests and vehicles on field tests also. So passenger cars, for example, have done 40,000 kilometers of field trials. Similarly, two-wheelers have done 20,000 kilometers of field trials. And I mean, you can imagine in 2009-10 and all that, the vehicles were pretty old. The same type of testing was also done again in 2014, 2014-15, and with E20. And after that, the earlier trial was done with E10, and then 2014-15 it was done with E20. And after that, an interministerial committee in 2019 had sat together and then laid a roadmap for this thing. In the field trials, none of, there have been no reports of any substantial changes in terms. In fact, the performance can be better because, see, ethanol has got a 108 octane number, whereas petrol is in the mid-80s. So, in fact, ethanol can be quite an advantage in certain areas. And secondly, ethanol is also a better combusting fuel. That means it burns fully. So there is a major gain in terms of environmental pollution reduction, and that is one of the benefits. India has saved almost 1 million tons of carbon emissions because of introduction of ethanol.
Right. So you're saying it's actually beneficial. So where did this debate come from, and why there are these fuel mongers? Let's go over to Mr. Jain, because many are also claiming that, the E20 fuel is not suitable for Indian roads. Mr. Jain?
Yeah, I told you before also, it's a all total negative narrative is without any technical background. So we have no answer to it. We can only say what is the positive things about the ethanol usage.
Yes.
So the only problem with them is they don't have any study, they don't have any experience. I ask all anchor by themselves to close your ears. Tell you, just share your experience. Have you experienced any breakdown in engine for last 5-7 years due to petrol or due to blended ethanol? But nobody has said, yes, I got it. So what do I know? I ask you also. You share your experience. Close your ears and share your experience. How much, how much
Mr. Jain, there is also one big question that many are asking, is the food versus fuel debate. And they're saying, and help us give like a scientific understanding for this, that they're saying that the prices of corn and sugarcane, which will be used in ethanol blending, is going to go up. So help us understand what is happening over there, and whether it's a valid debate or not.
It's a very interesting subject. As far as our country is concerned, food has no challenge from the fuel. In all circumstances, food is first. Now you come to the farmer. What do you want from the farmer? Do you want from the farmer that he only produce the food and he limit his income to the food? Or you want farmer to grow food plus feedstock for industry? So as far as ethanol is concerned, It is using the surplus feedstock, surplus grain, surplus sugar cane. Food is first priority. No challenge. Nobody can challenge that. But what to do with the surplus? Dump in sea or send free of cost to the weak nations like African countries, or you convert into the fuel. You have to organize a very better income, better life for our intelligent farmers. Farmers are most deprived person in our country, and their population is 60 to 65%. We need more to done, and farmer can do only better when he make a commodity for food first and surplus for industry. And ethanol is doing that work. Ethanol has come and using all surplus grain or surplus sugarcane, converting into fuel. So there's no debate about food versus fuel. It is surplus and food is first.
Mr. B. Ashok, final word from you. Help us understand, how could have we done it better? How could have this E20 rollout been better? Is it, the clear communication was necessary, before mandating it? What are the lessons that we have from other countries like the United States, like the countries in the Western world who have implemented it?
Yeah. First of all, let me put a number to what Mr. Jain has said. See, the farmers have earned an additional income of 1,60,000 crores because of ethanol. Okay, this is in addition to what they gain. I mean, they don't produce crops for the sake of ethanol. They produce crops for food security, and they produce crops because it is an assured, procurement from the government for them at a specific price. So it is only over and above that is going for ethanol production, which would have otherwise gone for waste. So that is number one. The second thing is, even in the social media, there are lots of very positive messages, including from people like mechanics and all that, who have been handling vehicles, with their own, as you say, their own hands. And there are reports from them saying that there is absolutely no issue in terms of ethanol E20 usage in vehicles and so on. But unfortunately, such messages don't seem to, go on or spread as fast as the negative messages. So I would only say that probably social media has played a role in terms of creating this, but it is absolutely exaggerated claims that are being made in the social media, especially on the negative aspects of ethanol, because as far as I can see, for the whole country, it has been an absolutely positive thing. And you also need to treat this fuel as a separate fuel. Like we treat diesel or petrol or natural gas, as they say, there are different fuels which can be used in vehicles. So ethanol blended petrol is also a fuel which has to be used, and it has got its merits in terms of usage. So taking one particular characteristic of a specification and trying to debate that and downplaying the efficacy of the whole program is absolutely not right. So I think it is important that channels and media also takes this instead of playing up the negative stories.
Right.
I would say.
Right. Thank you so much, Mr. B. Ashok and Mr. Jain, for joining us today on ET Now and sharing your inputs into the whole E20 debate.
Thank you.
Well, it is time for us to slip into a very short break. You don't go anywhere. We'll be right back on India Tonight.